All right, the next UAP hearing is officially set for September 9th. As we talked about on this show not too long ago, that once they started kind of rumbling about it, you knew that it was going to be announced pretty soon, but they were having these conversations back and forth about who they could get, who they will get, the problems that they were having about people who were involved in the programs, and firsthand whistleblowers were not coming forward, or were hesitant about coming forward, and they couldn't lock anybody down. Well, they have locked down a date, and this is from UAP Reporting Center, and he says the next UAP hearing is locked for September 9th. The word is at least 2 of the 4 plus witnesses will be firsthand. That alone makes me cautiously optimistic. Okay, so you hear that, and well, there's the official date, and then they said they wanted to get some firsthand whistleblowers. You would assume from what both Luna and Burleson said, it doesn't really make sense to have anybody except people who have either worked on the program, have touched NHI remains or whatever it could have been. That's the type of stuff that you want to get moving forward in order to really have any traction. Cautiously optimistic, I think, is correct. But then, if you look at what the UFO Joe tweets out, September 9th is confirmed as the date for the next hearing. I can't rewind, so I may have gotten some details wrong. Burleson on the witnesses for the upcoming hearing. Apparently, a former USAF person who experienced or is going to talk about 5 UAP incidents, Navy officers who witnessed UAP events firsthand, another USAF person who witnessed a UAP firsthand. None of those moves the needle. None of those. Because even if there was a person who says, I was outside and I saw this thing and it moved at a capacity that we are just not capable of. I saw a silver disc and it was round and it zipped off, but it moved around in certain places. Every person that the naysayers and other ones like, it's a balloon. It was, you didn't see what you thought you saw. There's no footage of what you saw. There's no picture of what you saw. So why do we take your word for this as far as seeing stuff? People have said they have seen stuff. You could have very well seen something, but we don't know what it was that you saw. Well, but it just moved differently. Well, we've already had these conversations with the people who worked at those nuclear facilities, and those people there was a whole article in New York Post that tried to discredit them and say no. What they saw actually was EMTs. That's what it was. EMPs. That's what it was. That's what it was. So no. So that's the problem. Is it one of the? Should these people testify? I mean, sure. You want to have more people to add to, but you have to. You have to get more people in there that have worked on these programs. Where's the Lakatskys? Where's Jay Stratton? Where are these people who can tell you a lot of these kind of details that you just couldn't believe? So UAP1 writes, so Burleson said in a space tonight that David Grush told him that talking to UAPTF's chief Jay Stratton as part of their investigation was not a priority. Unbelievable to say the least. Agree. UAP1 agreed. What do you mean it's not a priority? Why is someone who said, well, I saw something in the sky and I looked around, why is that a priority over a guy who has worked on all these particular programs and has a book coming with way more detail? And if he'll go under oath, how is he not a priority? That I don't understand whatsoever at all. How is that not a priority? So far, not excited about what we're hearing with the people that they're going to get. Now, they said there's other people that they're going to try to get. So maybe there's more that we don't know about just yet. Yeah, why talk to the guy that ran UAPTF, found the crash retrieval program records, brought it to Grush, said he had seen non-human beings and craft with his own eyes, and said he gave Congress and folks in the executive branch the addresses to see NHI, and they were denied access, unless Grush has a beef with Stratton. Even if he has a beef with Stratton, he should be reaching out to Stratton and talking to Stratton, unless he doesn't think Stratton is credible, and which doesn't make sense because he got all his information, a lot of information from Stratton. So what the hell's going on there? Why wouldn't you make him the number one witness? as opposed to a guy, well, I saw something in the sky. It looked pretty damn good. It was right there, circular. And then it zipped off and moved in a place. I mean, yeah, you have pictures of it? No. Video? No, absolutely. No. But we believe it? Yeah. Okay. You can't do that anymore. I'm not going to say that those people are not credible, but you're not going to win anybody over and move it. This is going to be just like 2024 so far, if this is the case. Don't do this hearing like this. If this is all you got, don't do it. So on Tupacabra's stream, this is Burleson talking about the witnesses.
Couple quick ones. The first one is being that is the September 9th date that's floating around, if that's confirmed or not, if that's official. I went to the last hearing. I was at the UAPDF thing in November where I introduced myself to you. I plan on attending the next hearing too. I'm just a couple blocks away from the Capitol. So that would be my first question, is the actual date. The second one would be looking at the progression of the kind of witnesses that are being brought to testify, and just me being involved with this topic since I was a kid, seeing how people that are speaking about this came from just regular civilians. Now we have, fighter pilots with distinguished careers, intelligence people, the progression of witnesses where they are now. On this next list that you have, my personal thing would be wanting to have, if there is a legacy program that gets uncovered and you have scientists that are actually working on this, that would be my star witness kind of situation where scientists can actually speak on data and things like that. Where are we with on that list? I think of James Lukatsky. I think of people that have been program managers that would, I don't know if these people are on your radar or not. Someone mentioned Jay Stratton earlier, Colm Kelleher, these people that have been around the topic and worked under government capacity that are scientists. What do you think about that?
So, to give you an idea who we've got, um, one individual is a former U.S. Air Force veteran who can is going to speak to 5 UAP incidents during his time that he witnessed, and that he investigated. You've got another individual who um, is a Navy officer who witnessed UAP events firsthand, and um, and then another U.S. Air Force officer who has um, witnessed firsthand events. So we've got, and I'm not going to give their names, but those are the individuals that we've been working on. It's we often have people trying to get, to that have already come out publicly, and I think that a lot of people some people want those, but I think that what's better is if we bring forward some new perspectives and people that have not come forward until this moment, some fresh witnesses. So that's kind of what we're working on
Got it. And then the date, is that official or not? September 9th?
right now. That is the date, September 9th.
Yeah, again, so following up with that, you hear him basically saying we just talked about the guests, but it sounds to me that's a politician's way of going, look, we try to get other people, and this is who we have. We have to at least get this topic in front of people again, new witnesses that are going to basically say a lot of the same stuff that other witnesses have said, but at least it's more people and new people to the group. But no, we don't have, no, we don't have anybody from the legacy program whatsoever. So this is very disappointing thus far. And so the next thing following up after that, so then on the Weaponized podcast, you see UF Joe on the far left there, they start talking about whether or not they're going to actually see more guests that could pop up. And here's the clip from that.
Have you, or do you know of anybody else who has claimed to have spoken to the witness I described earlier? Somebody who claims to have worked in a program for a decent amount of time and who had hands on a craft, said, yeah, I worked on it, and my conclusion was after 3 years or whatever, this was a non-human craft.
Yes, I know people in official capacity who have interviewed with people that exactly fit this description. And I have pushed on them, being like, what is it going to take for someone like that to come forward publicly? And by the way, that was part of an ICIG investigation where people of that level were communicated with. And I know exactly who is doing that back and forth. And here's the deal, man. They said to me, what would be the motivation for someone like that to break from the fold and destroy their whole lives just because they were called in to come talk with me? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. There has to be somebody who's so upset with something surrounding this that they're just like going to try to burn it all down. And usually those people never make it to the starting point, if they're coming from that attitude. People that work in those programs are so highly monitored with polygraphs and, their family lives, making sure they're stable. If you remember all the way back, looking to Lazar, why did he get not called back for the program? It was because they found out his wife was cheating on him and he became a security risk. That's how security clearances work, is you have to have a stable family life. So people that would break from the fold, that are feeling all that type of pressure and just try to burn the whole house down, dude, they're going to find out they're in that mental state way prior to them ever being able to get to the starting point. So it's a long way to say, yeah, man, the Holy Grail. Yeah, I know about those conversations. I've talked to people on both sides of those conversations. The thing is, there's no indication that people like that are at this moment willing to come forward. And in fact, I can't go further than that, but in fact, if people were willing at one point, I don't think it's possible anymore for them.
And just to be clear, you're talking about other people have had the conversations with those whistleblowers, or not you?
Yes. Well, what I'm admitting to is that in official capacity, there are people doing this investigation that have conveyed to me their direct official debriefing with individuals in those programs, like working on the technology currently, non-human technology. So I know these people have had those investigatory roles and had those briefings and took the information because of the ICIG, reports.
So the final follow-up here from Joe is that if you've been waiting for those types of hands-on, first-hand folks to come forward, you need to adjust your expectations after seeing what Corbell just said. I have. Some will decide they're tired of waiting and leave this field. Others who are interested in the phenomenon and not just relying on what happens with witnesses will always be here. And we will still have a hearing coming in September where we will hopefully learn new and interesting information from first-hand witnesses who we've never heard from before. This is not one of those things. It's like, this to me is the whole politician side of this, is that you had Luna and Burleson saying, we can't do another one of these until we get people who do this. And then they can't find people who want to do it. And they can't, because we've said it a million times over. And I think that the same thing is what Lukaski said in the last hearing last year. And that is, there's no incentive. It's essentially what Corbell just said. There's no incentive to protect these people and why they would do it, why they're going to lose their jobs, why they're going to lose their pensions, why they're going to be ridiculed. There's no protection for them at all. So you're not going to get those people to testify. And as Corbell said, because they said, hey, we want you to come talk to us. They're going to do it. And so you can hear the frustration in Burleson's voice. This is going to be another bust hearing, guys. This is another bust hearing. This hearing will do absolutely nothing except, new fresh witnesses who basically say they saw something. And they'll have some new things that we can discuss and people will go after it, but it's going to be the same thing. We on this side of it will say, okay, well, they saw this thing, this thing interesting that this potentially could have happened. What did they see? Oh, there's a lot of different facts. We never heard that story before. Then you're going to get the naysayers who are like, yeah, no, absolutely not. This is just, they have no proof, yet they brought these people. They keep talking about this legacy program, and yet they have nothing and no one to discuss it. This is a wild goose chase. And that's why I think this hearing shouldn't happen. Because why do that? Why bother doing it? If you can't get the people that you want to get, then don't do it. You say, look, we tried. We reached out to everybody that we could. We've talked to these people who've been on podcasts and everything. They don't want to do it. They don't feel protected enough. And don't do it. Don't do this. What you're about to do here on September 9th, you can see it coming a million miles away of what is about to happen. However fascinating the stories might be, that time was 2023. 3 credible witnesses in Graves, Fravor, and Grush, obviously, saying what they did, talking about what they did, having the type of credentials that they did was fascinating. And it was like, okay, well, let's now look into what they're all talking about here. Grush was the main part of that because you have the 2 pilots who told you what they saw. Credible guys. Okay, great. There's tons of people. Graves and Fravor, I don't know if you get more credible about them. They've many times over, people have said, well, what they actually saw is this. And recently with Fravor, it's, that was Lockheed Martin stuff that he saw. It was our technology. So it's believe what he saw, but it might not be what he thought he saw is what he really saw. So what brought that thing to light, or really had everybody talking, was this stuff that Grush was saying. And Grush was saying, well, I worked at this I worked for the government, and when I was there, high-level people told me this, that we have this, we have this, we have this. That's fascinating. Okay, great. Then we got to follow up. And then what we should do is all the people that he told us about, we got to get them on the stand. That's the progression of it. Not, well, let's just do the same thing again this time and have more people. This time, though, we're not going to have a guy like Grush. We're just going to have people who saw stuff. This is disappointing, to say the least. I'll be watching it and seeing, and I hope that, I mean, I've never hoped to be more wrong. But this is not great. If you're Burleson and Luna, just cancel this thing. Just cancel it. Don't unless you have somebody. If you do decide to get a Jay Stratton or a Katsky, and you can get those people and you can actually get them protection and give them incentive to do it, don't do it. All it's going to do is bring another kind of shade to it, because the 2024 hearing was a disaster. There's nothing that came out of that was good. Anyway, I could be absolutely wrong. You guys could think this is the best thing that's happened for the UAP topic. What do you say? Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. I appreciate you, and we'll see you on the flip side.